I've been writing copy for over 6 years and generated over $30 million in sales for some of the biggest brands and celebrities in the world, and I built my own business to over $1 million in revenue at 24 years old using my copywriting skills. And in this video, I'm gonna give you a 10-step plan that you can use to write copy that sells even if you're a complete beginner. Because whether you like it or not, copywriting is one of the most important skills you need to learn to be able to start or grow a business. Without the skill of copywriting, you're not going to be able to market your products or services in a way that convinces people to give you their money. So spend 5 minutes to watch this video and get all this knowledge for free, because learning copywriting changed my life and I know it can for you too. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. Step number 1 is know your customer. In order to write high converting copy, the first thing you need to know is who you're writing copy for, because your number one job as a copywriter is to get in sync with your customer's deepest desires and then channel that desire into what you're selling using your copywriting skills. Now, in order to know your customer, what you need to do is create an ideal customer profile, or an ICP for short. And all an ICP is a simple document that we create that has all the information we need to know about our ideal customer. And there's really two pieces of information we need to know about our customer. The first piece of information is our customer demographics, which are all the external factors about our customer. And don't worry, I'll give you examples here in a second. The second thing we need to know is our customer psychographics, which are all the internal factors about our customer, which is the most important thing we need to know as a copywriter. So examples of demographics are things like their gender, their age, their income, and where they're located. Psychographics are things like, what are their desires? What are their current pain points? How do they want to be perceived by themselves and by other people? And what is a trigger point that happens in their life that causes them to want to buy your product? So for example, let's say I'm selling an acne removal cream. My demographics could be women aged 35 to 60, living in North America, making over $50,000 per year, who are married. Now, my psychographics could be their desires is they want clear, healthy looking skin. The problems that they face is they have acne and breakouts, and they want to be perceived as young and beautiful both by themselves and by other people. And a trigger point that causes them to want to buy my product is they have a big event coming up, but they have acne on their face, which causes them to feel insecure, and then they buy my product. So now once I have this information, and obviously this is a brief example here, but with this information, it becomes so much easier for me to write copy because I know exactly who I'm writing copy for, and I know what motivates them to buy. So do not skip this step. Make sure to know your customer and spend the time to create your ideal customer profile. Once you have this information, it will be so much easier for you to write high converting copy. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is know your product. So now that you know who you're selling to, the next step is knowing what you're selling. And the reason this is so important is the deeper understanding you have of the product you're selling, the easier it's going to be for you to communicate its benefits to your customers. Now, in order to know your product, there's 4 key things you need to know. The first thing is your product features. The second thing is your product benefits. The third thing is the problems your product solves. And the fourth thing is the status increase your customers gain by buying your product. So let's break down the first thing, which is your product features. And this is simply all the bells and whistles about your product. So if I'm selling an acne removal cream, the features might be it has natural extracts, it has anti-inflammatory agents, and it has hydration complexes. These are the features about the product. Then we move on to the second thing, which is the product benefits. And this is what's most important because customers don't really care about the product features. What they do care about is the benefits they're going to receive from using those features and how that improves their lives. For example, the benefit of natural extracts is you have clear, healthy looking skin. The benefit of anti-inflammatory agents is you get rid of redness. The benefit of hydration complexes is you have hydrated, healthy looking skin. Those are the benefits that the reader wants to experience, which causes them to buy your product. Then once we know the benefits, we have to know the problems our product solves for our customers. And if we're selling an acne removal cream, the problem it solves is acne, breakouts, and redness. That is the problem that keeps them up at night, that causes them to want to buy the product. And then finally, we must understand the status increase our customers gain by buying our product. Because if our customers can clearly see how they will increase their status in how they view themselves and how others view them, that will build more desire into what we're selling. So for example, if someone gets clear, healthy looking skin, they're gonna feel more confident in themselves. That increases their status on how they view themselves. Now, on top of that, If they have clear, healthy looking skin, they're going to be more attractive. If they're more attractive, this increases their status amongst others. So now once we have this information, it becomes so much easier for us to write persuasive, high converting copy because we know everything about our product. We know our features, we know the benefits, we know the problems it solves, and we know the status increase for the customer. And I promise you, when you have this information, the copy on what you need to write pretty much becomes obvious. So don't skip the step. Take the time to get this information, know your product deeply, know its benefits, know its features, know the problems it solves, and know the status increase your customers gain. And with this information, it's going to be so much easier for you to write high converting copy. So now that's step 2, let's move on to step 3. Step number 3 is write your copy like you're talking to a friend. So now that you know your customer and you know your product, you're ready to start writing copy. And the key to writing copy that sells and is persuasive is to write like you're talking to a friend. And here's why that's so important. Have you ever seen a piece of writing and then immediately not want to read it because of how it looks? Think of a contract or terms of service page. What does that writing look like? It's typically really long paragraphs, it has complicated words, and the spacing is all messed up. It's not a good experience for the reader. Now think of the copy you read every single day that you enjoy. Think of the texts and the emails you receive from friends and family. What does that look like? It has simple, easy to understand words, it has shorter paragraphs and sentences, and good spacing. And that's how you want to write your copy. Because at the end of the day, when we're writing copy, we're writing to other people. And we want to write in a way that they enjoy reading. So make sure when you're writing copy, you have simple, easy to use words, good spacing, and most importantly, you write like you're talking to a friend. And if you do this, far more people are going to read your copy because it's inviting. And the more people who read your copy, the more conversions you're going to get. So never forget this rule. Write like you're talking to a friend. That's step number 3. Step number 4 is follow a framework. One of the biggest hacks to writing high converting copy fast is by following proven copywriting frameworks. And to prove that to you, let me tell you a quick story. When I first started writing copy 6 years ago, one of the first clients I landed was a fitness coaching client where I handled his email marketing. And I had barely any experience at the time and I totally overpromised. And I said I was going to generate him thousands of dollars in sales and he said yes to my surprise. Now when it came time to actually writing and launching his emails, I remember I was panicking because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So in this panic state, I remember I went to YouTube and typed in proven email campaign. And I remember I saw a video from Frank Kern where he broke down his 4-day cash machine sequence, which was an email campaign framework that he used to generate millions of dollars in sales when he was launching products. So all I did is I pretty much just copy and pasted this framework and just filled it in for this client's offer. And I just hoped to God that this was going to work. And when we launched the campaign and the product, it absolutely crushed it. It generated hundreds of sales and tens of thousands of dollars in revenue. And the client was over the moon. He was telling me how he hired multiple copywriters in the past and they weren't able to generate results. And here I am, I pretty much just copy and paste this framework on YouTube and I absolutely crushed it. Now the lesson that I learned from there was the power of a framework, because a good framework gives you a structure and a process for your copy to follow. All you have to do is fill it in. So now whenever I write copy, the first thing I do is I look at my copywriting frameworks that I can model, because these frameworks make it much easier for me to write copy. It also allows me to create higher converting copy. Now, if you want a bunch of free copywriting frameworks that you can use to increase your conversions, go to marketersplaybook.io. That's marketersplaybook.io, or the first pinned comment in the description below. I'm going to give you a bunch of free copywriting frameworks that I used to generate millions of dollars in sales, all for free. Just put in your email address and I'll send it your way. Again, that's marketersplaybook.io, or the first pinned comment below. So go get that, check out those frameworks, and we'll move on to step number 5. Step number 5 is focus on one idea expressed clearly. The most persuasive and successful pieces of copy ever written just focus on one big idea expressed clearly to the reader. And here's why that's so important. The human brain can only understand and retain so much new information. So if your ad has a bunch of points and ideas that you're trying to get across to the reader, they're going to get confused. And the moment your reader gets confused, you've lost them and they're not going to convert. And what really drove this point home for me was a story I heard from Steve Jobs at Apple. So Steve was in a creative meeting where they were brainstorming new ads for a product they were launching. And Steve mentioned how there were 5 things this product did really well that he wanted to mention in the ad. Now, Lee Clow, who was the founder of the ad agency that Steve was working with, said, "Steve, here's the difference between a good ad and a bad ad." Now, what Lee did is he crumpled up a piece of paper and he told Steve to catch that piece of paper. Now, when he threw it at Steve, Steve caught that with no problems, and then Lee said, "That's a good ad." Then what Lee did is he crumpled up 5 different pieces of paper and he told Steve to catch them. And then he threw all those 5 pieces of paper at once to Steve, and Steve wasn't able to catch a single one of them. And then Lee said, "That's a bad ad." And the key point that Lee was trying to illustrate is the more things you get the reader to focus on in your copy, the harder it is for them to understand, making the ad or copy less effective. Now, if you look at a lot of Apple's ads, they're very simple. They focus on one core message. For example, for their MacBook Air, they really focus on how it's the thinnest laptop. Then once they release the M3 chips, they focus on how it's the fastest laptop. They're highlighting one core big idea. So when you're writing your copy, what you want to focus on is what is the one big idea that you're going to put your energy into that you want the reader to understand. Then all of your supporting points and benefits support that big idea. And if you can do this correctly, your copy is going to be so much tighter and more persuasive. So that's step number 5, is focus on one big idea expressed clearly. Step number 6 is make people sense your benefits. If you want your copy to be as persuasive as possible, people must sense the benefits of what you're selling. And here's what I mean. There's 5 core senses in the human body. There's sight, there's sound, there's smell, there's touch, and there's taste. And when you're writing copy and describing the benefits of your products and services, you want to trigger those 5 senses in your reader. And if you can do this properly, your copy is going to be much more persuasive. So let me give you an example of this for our skincare product we've been going over. So to trigger the sense of sight, we can write, imagine waking up in the morning, glancing in the mirror, and seeing clear, radiant skin staring back at you. To trigger the sense of smell, we can write, when you open the jar, you'll be greeted by a fresh, soothing, subtle aroma of lavender and tea tree oil that brings a sense of calm reassurance, knowing you're treating your skin with the best nature has to offer. To trigger the sense of sound, we can write, hear the compliments pour in as your friends and family notice your clear, glowing skin and ask for your secrets. To trigger the sense of touch, we can write, feel the confidence surge through you as you run your fingers over your face, no longer feeling the rough patches and bumps of acne. And finally, to trigger a sense of taste, we can write, treat yourself to a luxurious dessert or a celebratory meal, knowing your skin is glowing and the last thing you have to worry about is hiding behind makeup. So to implement this in your copy, make sure when you're writing out your benefits of your product, you have benefits that trigger sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. And when you do this and you add this into your copy, it's going to be a lot more persuasive, allowing you to convert more readers. So that's step number 6. Step 7 is be specific in your claims. Any claims or promises you make in your copy, you want to make them as specific as possible. And the reason behind that is the more specific your claim, the more persuasive and believable it is in your reader's mind compared to a vague claim that's not specific. For example, let's compare 3 different headlines and pick the one you feel is the most persuasive and believable. Headline number 1 is discover the secret to flawless skin with our acne removal cream. Headline number 2 is how to dramatically reduce your acne in a week with our proven solution. And headline number 3 is how to clear 98% of your acne in just 7 days with our advanced formula. Now, for most of you watching this, headline number 3 was likely the most persuasive option. And the reason behind that is it had a specific outcome, which was lose 98% of your acne in a specific timeline, which was 7 days, in a specific way. It had an advanced formula, compared to headline number 1, which was vague, where it just said how to have clear skin using our advanced formula. So you want to make sure whenever you're writing any claims or promises in your copy, it's as specific as possible. And if you do this, it's going to be a lot more persuasive because your reader is going to believe the statement, which will allow you to increase your conversions. Step number 8 is provide proof for any claims. So any big claims or promises you make in your copy, you must provide proof to back it up. And the reason behind that is people are more skeptical than ever right now. And the moment they hear or read one of your claims in your copy, the first thing that goes on in their mind is prove it. And if you don't have proof to back it up, you've lost their trust and they're going to stop reading. For example, if I make the claim or promise that you will lose 98% of your acne in 7 days, then I need to have proof to back that up. So my proof might be, we conducted a clinical study with 200 participants with varying degrees of acne, and 98% of them reported back having less acne in 7 days, and the test was conducted by John Doe. So now I have proof to back up that claim. And when a reader sees that, now they're like, oh, this is legit, I trust them, and they will continue reading. If I didn't have that proof, they're like, this is a load of bullshit, and they're going to stop reading. So the key lesson here is any big claims or promises you make in your copy, make sure you have proof to back that up. And that proof can be through testimonials, it can be through data, or it can be through endorsements. Whatever you do, make sure to have that proof. Step number 9 is address and handle objections, because copywriting is just salesmanship in print. And just like you get objections in sales, you get objections in copy. And if you don't handle every single one of your readers' objections in your piece of copy, guess what? They're not going to buy. And I would argue handling objections in copy is even more important than in sales, because you only have one shot in copy. You don't have the luxury of being with them face to face and adjusting based off of what they say. So here's how we overcome objections in copy. The first thing you need to do is write out every possible objection someone can have about your product or service. List them all out. Then once you do that, the second thing you're going to do is simply write an overcome to every single one of those objections. So to give you an example of this, let's break this down for our skincare product. So one objection might be, I don't have time for a complicated skincare routine. Our response to that objection is, our cream is quick and easy to apply, fitting seamlessly into your daily routine and delivering powerful results without any hassle. The next objection we can have is, what if it doesn't work for me? And our response to that objection is, we offer a satisfaction guarantee. If you don't see the results you desire, you'll get your money back, no questions asked. Another objection they might have is, I have sensitive skin. And our response to that objection is, our product is dermatologist tested and formulated with gentle, natural ingredients to ensure it's safe and effective for even the most sensitive skin. And I'd pretty much just follow this process until I had every single objection outlined and a response for each one of them. So all you have to do to follow this is, again, first thing, write out all the potential objections of your product that people would have, and then make sure you have a response to overcome each one of those objections. And then make sure you insert this information throughout your sales pages and even a frequently asked questions page. And if you do this, you're going to overcome every single one of your readers' objections, increasing the amount of sales and conversions you drive from your copy. Step number 10 is walk your reader through your call to action, because every single piece of copy you write, there's an action you want the reader to take, whether that's buy your product, opt in, or click a link. And if we want to increase the amount of people who do that action, your call to actions in your copy literally need to take your reader by the hand and walk them step by step through the action you want them to take. For example, if I'm writing a call to action for a sales page where the action is for them to buy a product, my call to action might sound something like this. If you want to buy this product, here's what to do next. Click the order button below, and once you click on that button, you're going to be taken to a secure checkout page where you can put in your billing and payment information. Then hit the submit button. Once you hit the submit button, you're going to be taken to a page where you will see your shipping information, and we will also send an email your way where you can track your order. Again, click the order now button below. So you can see I'm literally walking the reader through the action I want them to take. I'm closing the fucking deal. The biggest issue I see with most copywriters with their call to actions is they treat it like a call to action, like just one line. You want to treat it like you are closing the deal. So put effort into it and walk the reader through the action you want them to take. And if you do this, far more people are going to take you up on your offer and close and convert. And finally, step number 11, which is a bonus step, is read your copy out loud before publishing it. And the reason this is so important is when you read your copy out loud, you're going to stumble on all the areas that aren't smooth and don't flow properly. And when you find these areas, you want to edit them down and read it again. And you want to continue doing this until you can read your copy out loud without having any stumbles. And this is so important because with copy, you only have one chance at getting your reader across the line. So it has to be as smooth as possible. You don't have the luxury of being in front of them and correcting them. So make sure before you publish any piece of copy, you take the time to read it out loud and edit it down until you do not stumble at all. And if you do this, your copy is going to be much tighter, more persuasive, and you'll get more sales. So that's step 11. All right, so that is the 10-step plan that you can follow to write copy that sells, and I hope you found it helpful. Now, if you want to get over 20 plus free marketing courses and trainings on copywriting, Facebook ads, and conversion rate optimization that I use to generate millions of dollars in sales, go to marketersplaybook.io. That's marketersplaybook.io, or go to the first pinned comment below, and all you have to do is put in your email address on that page, and I'll send you those 20 plus free marketing courses and trainings your way, all for free. Again, that's marketersplaybook.io. Go put in your email address and I'll send you the courses your way. Again, hope you found this helpful and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.